All right. Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are at. Uh, Thank you all for joining us today for our feature walkthrough with our new card customizations that we've added to the org chart. So glad you guys could all make it. So real quick, my name is Tim Kamen, and I'm going to be hosting today alongside with Ryan Bickham. I'm the Director of Client Success here. Ryan leads our product and engineering team here. So he's the guy you go to with all the things you'd like to see added and changed. But just for a little bit of housekeeping before we start, we welcome all dialogue. So please feel free to use the chat to ask any questions that you may have. We're going to have some Q&A questions as well that will have some prompts as well as some ways to ask some open-ended questions there as well. So we do appreciate any feedback and questions that you may have. And then we will also have a recording of this that will be sent over within the next day and a half or two for you to have if you want a refresher of it or to pass it along to anyone else within your organization. So. All right, for the agenda today, we're going to go over the evolution of Sift's org chart, why customizing the org chart cards matter, why the homepage widgets matter, which is another feature that we recently added. And then we're going to do a quick tutorial of how to set up those extended org chart cards, go over some future plans for the software, and then again, open it up for some general Q&A. And with that, I will hand it over to Ryan, who will kind of go over the whole thought process and planning out of this new advanced org chart.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So we thought we'd take some time today to go over kind of the history of Sift's org chart, and that could also kind of give you a refresher on all of the features it has, as well as introduce anybody who doesn't currently use Sift to the org chart. So we'll start off the presentation by going over kind of where it has come from the beginning to today. And then after Tim shows this new card content feature, I'll wrap up at the end by showing you kind of some of our future thoughts on the org chart and where we're going from here. So the first sort of step that we have on here is the original creation of this advanced org chart view. So this is the UX that you likely interact with today. So this is kind of the draggable, panable experience where we can see multiple levels. And at the beginning, it really only let you click to expand and contract nodes and did not let you do much else. And here's a much older screenshot of what that used to look like back then. Then after that, we added the highlighting feature and the start from here feature. So the highlighting feature allows you to color code the org charts by any of your attributes kind of on your profile page. So if you want to color code the org chart by department and make people in the technology department look different from HR, or if you want to color code by full-time versus part-time versus contractor status, or anything else that you're able to color code the org chart to be able to sort of differentiate different types of people, for lack of a better word, by different things. We also introduced the start from here feature. So if you didn't know about this one, on any of the different nodes on the org chart, you can click that three-dot menu and say start from here, and that will make that person go to the top. So by default, when you load your org chart, it'll kind of go all the way up to the top of the tree for whoever that you're looking at. So up to your CEO or your chairman or something along those lines. But if you click this start from here feature, it'll start right where that person sits, and they will become the top of the chart. So it sort of lets you cut down the org chart into smaller pieces for exporting or viewing. And then we also introduced a couple of other things with this release, such as excluding people temporarily and things like that as well. Next, we added dotted line reporting and open roles. So you can now today in Sift create dotted line relationships on the org chart. Today, they appear in an overlay. So if you add a dotted line report to somebody, so this is a case where somebody has a manager that they don't directly report to, but maybe they report to a secondary manager on a project or elsewhere, you can add them as a dotted line report. And today in the org chart, this exists as an overlay, and later we'll actually be talking about, we're making some improvements to this feature as well, but today you can add that in that way. And now you can also add open positions into the org chart. So you're able to go in and add open roles and have a Sift page behind them with descriptions of those roles and why the role is open and things like that. And then last but not least, this was, I believe, early this year or late last year, one of the two, we added the filtering function. So this will allow you, sort of similar to the highlighting, to sort of see a certain subset of people in a different way, but this allows you to only show people with a certain thing. So if you have people all over your org chart from different office cities, for example, you can filter by one of the office cities, and everybody who is not in that city will go away. Or the same with departments. If you have multiple different departments on your org chart and you only want to see a specific one, you can use the filtering feature to sort of only show the people on your view that are in that specific department. And you should definitely try this one out if you haven't yet. It does have some limitations in that it does only impact the nodes that you have open. So like if you want to see more people in your view, you want to open more nodes so you can see them. But this was kind of the latest thing that we introduced with our org chart before the card content feature that we just released. So that's it. Yeah, and then the sort of purpose of this meeting, this recently released extended org chart cards, which came out about a month ago, will now let you add just more information to your cards. So where previously the cards kind of showed a preset set of info, like just first name, last name, job title, email address, and then you did have like a sort of a hacky way to add your organization levels in the cards. You could kind of add a company, a department, or a team, but there wasn't flexibility to add things like phone number, hire date, or time zone, or sort of any of your custom attributes that you may have on your profile page. And the purpose of this new feature was really to give companies the ability to add all of those different custom pieces of information to their card, which will hopefully allow you to use the org chart in different ways for different use cases. So like if an individual team leader is using it for something, they might want to see different information than if a senior leader would use the org chart or similar. So this is the feature that we're going to be walking through today with Tim. And a little bit more about this as well. So the way that we sort of decided to do this feature is create kind of a whole new view for the card. So if you notice, there are two different views in Sift also today. Like if you go and you click, I don't know if you see my mouse, but if you click this button at the top, this version on the left is what we call the simple view, and the version on the right is the advanced view. The one on the left is kind of a single level view, like single leader at a time, or you can just see a leader and all of their direct reports. And the advanced view, the one on the right, is this sort of maps like experience where you can zoom in and out and see multiple levels at once. So what we decided to do is we decided for like each of these views, we couldn't find a really convenient way to take the existing design of both of the views. So here's the simple view that we used to have here on the left, and the advanced view that we used to have here on the left on this slide. There wasn't really an easy way to just take these as they currently existed and like let people add more information to them in a way that like made sense and wasn't super disruptive. So what we decided to do is sort of create a whole new sort of type of card. And we call this the extended org chart card, and it is available on both this simple view where you see one level at a time and this advanced view where you can see multiple levels at a time. And it has basically the same layout. So like if you can kind of use a similar look on both views and sort of switch back and forth, so they're no longer different. Today we still support the old cards. So like if a new user comes to Sift today, they will still see this view over here on the left. And we did this for sort of just like to be like less disruptive to our customers. I mean, here at Sift, we try to have sort of an opt-in mentality for new features, at least when we first launched them. So we did want to just leave people with that familiar experience if they wanted to use it. So today you kind of have to go as a user and like go and like activate this, for like lack of a better word. But so both of these are available today. As I'm sure you may have noticed, you can still see these cards, and we're going to have actually a poll question later of how many of you even have used these new versions yet up until now, because it is available to every single user at your company. You don't have to go to the admin dashboard and turn it on or anything like that with some features that we have, but you do have to sort of do something on the org chart page itself to activate it, and we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, and then here is sort of the evolution of that custom card content area. So if you remember back in the day, and here's a few different iterations, but like these three things are very close to the same. Back in the day, you could kind of enable and disable these different things on your org chart cards. So when you used to click that card content button over here at the top of your org chart, it used to just be this drop-down menu where you could sort of turn on and off different things like your company, your department, your team, your job title, and your email. And then more recently, your name and your profile picture. But now today, when you click that button, it will open this kind of dialog here that gives you all of these other options. So you can now choose if you want to use that extended view that we recently released with all of these dynamic attributes, or this classic view which is the one that you're used to. And then for either of those two things, you can then toggle on or off different things. And Tim will walk you through all of this as well. Then these extended cards have sort of this base information like your name, your profile picture, your job title, and then your highlight value if you have org chart highlighting enabled, and then some of these metrics like direct report count, total report count, dotted line report count, and that's what's kind of on the top of these cards and the bottom of these cards. But then everything in the middle here is sort of controlled by this section on the right. So you as an administrator can go into your admin dashboard and elect which sort of attributes are available to put on your org chart cards, and then every single one of your employees can come in and kind of on the org chart page, they can turn on or off different things in the middle of the card and reorder them, for example. So that's the gist of how it works, and Tim will give a visual walkthrough. But I just wanted to give that background and how we sort of got here today. And yeah, as I said before, the idea here is that you should be able to sort of use this to create different views that are relevant for different use cases. So like if you want a view that has contact information, if that's something that's important to you, you can do that. Or if it's more of an internal team use case, you can maybe put like team names or things along those lines. And really the idea here is to just let you put whatever you want on the cards and kind of use it as you see fit. And then for those companies that use us, which some of you may be on this call that are a little bit more org chart centric than profile and directory centric, one piece of feedback that we've gotten in the past is that the org chart really can't be used like in isolation just as like a navigation tool. So the way Sift was kind of originally built was you go to the homepage of the tool, you make a search, or you go to the directory, and like that's how you sort of find people and look at all their information. And the org chart was kind of just a way to find people initially. But with this update, we kind of hope that if you're not as interested in the directory portion of the tool, you can kind of just use the org chart as your directory, and you can have all of the information that you need right there. So I think that's sort of it for my section before I pass it to Tim, but I'll leave you with this quick poll question of, have you gotten a chance to use these extended org chart cards yet? We really, and we also have an option in the poll. If you're not currently using Sift, if you're just interested in us, you could answer, I don't use Sift currently, but we really just want to understand, hey, like how well are we communicating these new features when we release them? So if you could answer that, we would appreciate it. See, we got a chat. Oh, that's just the poll results. So I see we have 5 no's. I would be interested for those who answered no. Feel free to leave your. I won't stall the conversation out. So you can just leave your comment in the chat. But why haven't you used it? Is it just that you didn't know it existed? Yeah, thank you all. We do send we sent an email, and we also did an in-app notification for this, but I know I know everybody's busy, and I certainly don't pay attention to everything I see either. And we have considered with this feature actually doing kind of like an opt-in period where like eventually we'll automatically transition. Waiting on this meeting, know how to use it, but following your instructions, mine does not look like yours. Let Tim show you, Amber, and if you need any more help, we'd be certainly happy to walk you through it as well. Yeah, I think with that, it is time for Tim's demo, so I'll pass it to him.
Yeah, thanks so much. And yep, we'll definitely show you how to get it set up. And as Ryan said, Amber or anyone else in the call, if you're still having some issues after the fact, by all means, we'll have a link to my Calendly available. So if you want to throw some time for us to meet and we can get on and look at it together, we can definitely do that as well. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this is just a demo instance that we have set up with our dummy data here within Sift. So to access these features within the admin dashboard, if you are an admin, you'll have this icon at the top next to your name. It looks like a little silhouette of a person with a gear over it. Most everybody who is a current customer and is an admin on the call is very familiar with this button and where to find it. But this will take you over to our dashboard and our admin section here. So from here, what you'll want to do to kind of play around and enable this feature and what different content is available to be able to disable or enable on the card content is under feature management. In the same area under the org chart tab where you would go to set up your highlighting and your exporting and so on and so forth, we have this new section here called card content attributes. So if we click on configure here, it gives us the ability to go through and see which ones are currently set. These are all by default the ones that are available, but if you have other attributes that you want to display on here, you're just going to simply click on add attributes and go ahead and check off which ones that you want to include. So I'm going to do a couple here just for the testing purposes here. So we have one for Berkman color. So for those that aren't familiar with that, it's kind of a color that's associated with personality types where, if you're on a call with someone and you see someone as a blue type, they're more of a collaborative. They like to work hand in hand with what you're working on. So it's, just a way for you to kind of get to know someone a little bit better. But we'll go ahead and enable that one. And then we're also going to show time zones on there as well. So we can kind of see where people are within your organization. So we're making sure we're not reaching out to someone that's, still sleeping or well past their current working hours. So we'll go ahead and add those two, and then we'll hit done. And in the bottom corner, you want to make sure you save it so that we lock those in. So now if we come back in here, we can see that we've got them back in here as available as options. And then if we go back to our instance of Sift, let me go ahead and refresh it just so that we're seeing everything in here changed. And we go to our org chart. As Ryan stated earlier, you do have the, refresh this here one more time.
You have to click extended first, Tim.
Yep. So you do have the ability to choose your card style. So right now it's defaulted to our classic, which is what most of you are well familiar with how it looks. But in order to get those additional attributes available, as Ryan mentioned, we do have to click on extended. And now that we have that, we can go through and toggle off which additional ones that we want to have. And you can select up to 10 additional attributes to show on here. We didn't want to have it too much so that it's just all muddied and kind of hard to see. So we'll go ahead and do those two additional ones that we have. And then we'll also go ahead and throw in their hire date on there as well. So if we wanted to include that on the card so we can see when someone started within the organization, we can do that. And we'll go ahead and save it here. So now we can see that in the bulk in the middle of our card here, we have that Lolita's Berkman color is red. She's based out of Eastern time zone here, so America, New York, and her hire date is January 29th of 2012. So currently right now, this is our, more of that advanced view, pan and zoom. But then if we wanted to choose the simple view to see more of that vertical stacked so that it's a little bit more neater on your screen here, you can set that up as well. And we're still being able to see that. In the previous version, this was very limited. It was just going to show you the basic information for the person's card. So if we go back and switch this back to classic here real quick and save it, we're not able to see all that additional information on here. So you might want to be able to see things in a more condensed view, but still have multiple attributes on there to see about a person, as opposed to having to actually click into their profile to view more information about them. You can now, see that with that extended view here with that additional information. So we can see that in here, and that kind of gives you the overview within that here. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. Again, if it's still not displaying properly for you, or you might be missing something within those settings that we were looking at here under feature management, by all means, feel free to reach out to us, either shoot us an email or schedule some time, and we can get connected and take a look at it and run through it together and make sure that it is set up and functioning properly for you. But that's essentially the gist of that. So I will go ahead and stop my sharing here, and I will flip it back to Ryan so that he can continue with his portion.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. And we had another question for you here. It's more of an open-ended one. Given now that you've seen this feature, like what additional information do you think would be valuable for your organization to have on your org chart? Aaron was typing something in the chat. All right, no problem. Like Tim said, let us know if you need any help or have any other questions, but I'll move on if nobody has anything to share there. Yeah, so I guess next I wanted to go over some of our future things that we're working on with the org chart, as I'm sure a lot of people might be interested in that. So this first thing here, we have a couple of quick hit sort of feature improvements releasing in the next couple of weeks or so. So these should be out like very, very soon. So obviously keep an eye on your email for that, because we do try to send an email out to all of our admins and all of our prospects when we do feature releases. You can also follow us on social if you want to keep up to date. I know on LinkedIn we always post about them, and you can find us there. But yeah, so for this first quick hit update, we have viewing the dotted line reports directly on the org chart rather than in an overlay. So today, as I mentioned, if you add dotted line relationships to your org chart, you kind of have to look at them inside of that overlay. But we're making an update right now to allow them to be viewed directly on your org chart. So they will show up in kind of a dotted line box. So helping to just view those people like more in line with the other people that are reporting to you. And then the other thing we're doing is we're creating this new sort of settings dialog here with a couple of different features. So as you've noticed in this presentation, we're sort of coming and having a lot of features at this point, and we wanted to consolidate them sort of into a more singular area. So for example, org chart orientation is actually another thing that you can technically do today. Like there's a 3-dot menu at the top right of the org chart, and you can change the orientation. So if you don't want like your CEO at the top and going down, you can also have like your CEO at the left and have the org chart go to the right. So that's one setting that we have today. And then this dotted line report visibility. So when we do add these dotted line relationships directly into the org chart, we're going to let you opt out of doing that. So like if you'd like to turn that off and only have them be visible inside of the dialogue as they are today, you're also available to do that. And then the third thing that we're adding is sorting. So this will allow you to sort like the row of direct reports like underneath each manager. So today they're just sorted by their name, their last name, but we've heard a few different customers ask us about, hey, could I like put like people with like this job title before this job title, or can I like sort this by like their locations, like people in the same location are like grouped together, for example. So we're going to give you that ability. So you're going to be able to sort by something other than last name on your org chart as well. So that's kind of just a quick hit, small things. But next sort of major thing we're working on, which is a sort of Sift-wide feature, not just the org chart, but also did want to point it out, is we're bringing roles and permissions into Sift. And the biggest sort of use case for this is that it will sort of allow you to add like private data into the system. So the idea would be with these new roles and permissions, we would allow some information within the platform to only be viewed by certain people. So today when you're using the platform, it's built so like all of the information is always visible to everybody, but this would sort of allow you to have more private information. So, and it could be something that's not super, super private, like a personal cell phone number. Like we hear use cases all the time, like, hey, like the CEO of my company, I don't want everybody knowing their cell phone number, but I want these specific people to know their cell phone number. Or you could sort of think about more leadership driven use cases, like bringing compensation info into the platform or performance review info into the platform, and sort of letting that info be viewable and searchable. Like I said, along with the org chart, this will also be available in the search and on the profile page. So you'd be able to do searches for all of this different information as well. But here we have it as an example on the org chart where somebody has like a personal cell phone, I'm in a salary, and somebody with access to see these things would be able to see them, and somebody without access would not be able to see them. The first iteration of this feature is going to still be pretty flexible. I mean, you'll be able to sort of do roles according to different rules in terms of your data. So you could kind of say like, I want to give everybody in the IT support department access to view cell phone numbers, or I want to give leaders access to be able to view data underneath them, but not data that's not underneath them, sort of like similar to an HRIS system. So we're really excited about this functionality, and we'll certainly send more information out to our customers and prospects as we continue to develop it. And then from a more strictly org chart standpoint, this is going to be a little bit later down the road, maybe in that permissions feature, by the way, is slated to be out and released around the end of this quarter. So that's kind of the timing on that. And then the next thing after that we are working on is flexible org chart nodes. So more of an org chart specific feature. The sort of simplest way to say this is like this will allow you to create nodes on the org chart that are not people. So biggest use case we hear here is I want to have a sort of business unit based org chart that's not according to people. So I want to show that underneath this department there are like these teams, and underneath those teams there are these sub teams, and you're kind of showing like the structure of the business units rather than like the people within the business units, or a combination of both. But basically with this functionality we're looking to the version 1 will just be that like you will kind of be able to create nodes that represent something else and like add them to your org chart or even create a new org chart. But in the future we're really looking at this as the start of creating structures in our org chart that are not necessarily just your management hierarchy. So we're thinking like matrix teams, or even like a business process where you want to show, hey, like which teams work on which things. So we're kind of expanding our functionality where you can create these things within our platform rather than just having a org chart based on your static, not static data, but based on your sort of management data. We can kind of become the source of truth for these things when you don't have it anywhere else. Yeah, so just follow-up question to that thing that I just sort of mentioned. Can you think of any ways that that feature would enable you to do more in your role and with your organization? Would you find that helpful if you were able to create these visualizations outside of just the standard management hierarchy in Sift? Great, Kitso. Thank you. All right. Think that is the end of our presentation, and we will stay on for any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining here today. I don't think we had anything else, but yeah, a few takeaways. Just head over and try this out, and if you need any help doing that, feel free to reach out to Tim for any help.
Yep, and then also, if you check the chat here, Aaron has shared some quick link documentations on that extended org chart from our knowledge base. So by all means, take a look at those. Those should help with answering most of your basic questions on that. And then again, if there's anything you need outside of that, there's my calendar link there as well. So we can schedule 30 minutes if we want to talk about that, or if we just want to see how everyone's summer's doing and stuff like that. And to truly find out if nothing does beat a Jet 2 holiday, as the kids are saying these days. So I mean, we can do that too.
Mary asked, "Is there a way to make the extended cards the default view for all users?" There is not today, Mary. We're still considering. To be honest with you, and everybody's still here. If you have an opinion, please let us know. We're still considering whether or not we want to keep the classic cards at all. It is something that we've thought about. Just kind of making them go away eventually, and it would be kind of part of a path towards that. I mean, we didn't want to get rid of them right away because that's what people are used to. But we're working on it, I guess is my point. But today there's not. If I guess what I would tell you is like if you want us to perform like a one-time migration of like make all of my people right now have the extended cards, we could do that for you, but it'd be a little bit more of a manual process, but we have no problem doing so. No problem. All right. Last call for questions, or else I'll wrap it up. I guess we're at time anyway, so perfect timing. All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.
And again, as I stated, we'll get a copy of this out to you all within the next day and a half if you want to rewatch it or pass it along to anybody else within your organization. Have a great day.